The police have blamed loyalists for yesterday's trouble at a nationalist parade in North Belfast. They say up to 350 loyalists were involved in rioting, which left 47 officers injured. The Chief Constable says the community cannot afford a repeat of the trouble. The nationalist parade, which had been deemed uncontentious by the Parade's Commission, had a route along Clifton Street and then down Henry Place, back towards the nationalist New Lodge district. The police say loyalists began attacking their vehicles on Clifton Street before the parade arrived. And as it passed, there was an exchange of missiles, including nationalists throwing golf balls at a group of loyalists filming from the balcony of an Orange Hall. The trouble then began in earnest as loyalists emerged from Denmark Street, which runs into the Shankill area. It was here that the most violent rioting took place. Loyalists also gathered at the bottom of the Crumlin Road, and the police pushed a small group of nationalists back up the Antrim Road. Mervyn Jess has been looking at what happened.
PSNI say the trouble began with loyalists throwing missiles at Carlisle Circus yesterday afternoon, with others from the Republican side getting involved as well. It's been claimed the loyalists were angry that the Republican parade had no restrictions placed on it by the Parade's Commission. This amateur footage from the loyalist side of the police lines shows the bands passing Clifton Street Orange Hall. Members of the Loyalist North and West Belfast Parades Forum, including its spokesman Winston Irvine, had gathered on the balcony at the front of the hall, as can be seen from this photograph taken by nationalists. In this footage, some Republicans appear to be throwing missiles at the loyalists as police directed the parade into Henry Place across the road. This man in Henry Place can also be seen breaking up paving stones as officers in riot gear move in. Meanwhile, loyalist crowds were being pushed back into Denmark Street on the Shankill side of the Carlisle Circus. 47 officers were injured during the hours of rioting that followed.
I'm talking to you all against a backdrop of 47 police officers who went out yesterday to serve the community and are now injured as a result of savage and utterly reprehensible violence. And if I have one message for the community, it's look back calmly at what happened last night and ask ourselves as a community, is that how we want the reputation of this city to go around the world? Is that how we want to deal with the anger and the frustration? Is that how we want to spend police officers' time? Is that what we want to do with their lives? We want to risk them, we want them to have injuries? Is that what we want as a community?
Nearby Clifton Nursing Home was caught in a firing line with windows broken, bins used as burning barricades by loyalists, and 100 elderly residents left in a very distressed state, according to the home's management.
Well, it can't be condoned in any shape or form. I think the context of all of this is very, very important. There is deep anger and frustration in all sections of the unionist community in North Belfast at the minute. And I think that the Parades Commission bears a heavy responsibility for their double standards.
But at the core of this, where do we go from here? I have to say that the loyal orders are the ones which need to be asked the questions, which need to be saying, let's go and talk to residents, let's try and sort this out, let's take the contention out of this, and it is still a small handful of parades.
It is regrettable. What did take place after it was regrettable. But there needs now to be constructive. There's a parade that's going to come here within the next 3 weeks, and there needs to be a constructive dialogue to take place long before that parade.
This afternoon, the Chief Constable issued a statement warning that policing and the wider Northern Ireland community cannot afford a repeat of last night's events. Mervyn Jess, BBC Newsline.
Well, the Executive has been holding its first meeting of the new term at Stormont. Our political editor, Mark Devonport, is up there at Stormont Castle. Mark, I'm sure the rioting then was on the agenda of the ministers.
Absolutely, Donna. I mean, as you say, this was the first meeting of executive ministers after their summer break, and we had expected the agenda to be dominated by forward-looking topics like education and investment. But obviously, that agenda was overtaken by events. They had a lengthy and what was described as a positive discussion of the problems surrounding parades. They agreed an initiative that the First and Deputy First Ministers will lead, where they will be looking to meet community leaders from both sides in North Belfast to try to forestall a repeat of this violence when there's a big parade commemorating the Covenant coming up at the end of September. Now, the First and Deputy First Ministers didn't appear after their meeting just a short while ago when it broke up here at Stormont Castle, but earlier Martin McGuinness had this to say about the importance of obeying Parades Commission's rulings.
There is a duty and a responsibility on everybody to accept the determinations of the Parades Commission. We've seen that flouted in the course of recent times, and violence has ensued.
And Mark, you also got reaction from the Justice Minister, David Ford.
Yes, Mr Ford said it was a disgrace that 47 police officers have been injured in the rioting. He got a briefing from the Chief Constable, Matt Baggott, this afternoon. And after that, I asked him if it had been the police's view that the trouble had been orchestrated by loyalist paramilitaries. He said the investigation was still underway.
Well, I don't think the police have produced their full analysis of exactly what happened yet. What was clear was that there was major difficulty with a number of people who obviously set out to cause trouble, as a result of which 47 police officers were injured. That's the key concern of the Chief Constable at the moment, and obviously the police will be following up things like CCTV evidence with a review to prosecutions now as soon as they can.
Mr Ford has endorsed the First and Deputy First Minister's initiative. He clearly thinks that the short-term priority is to try to calm tensions in North Belfast, but says that there's a longer-term challenge of tackling all the difficulties which have emerged recently surrounding contentious parades. Donna.
Mark Davenport at Stormont.